One of the more interesting games of the week will take place in Seattle when the Minnesota Vikings will go out there to play the Seahawks. Seattle is currently installed as a 5-point favorite in this game on BETDAQ. 39.5 is the total. These are two teams who desperately need a win. A couple of weeks ago, you'd look at these two teams, the Vikings and the Seahawks, and you'd say they're among the biggest and most pleasant surprises in the league, because neither one of these teams coming into the season was projected by most people anyway to be a playoff team, and they both look like they were on the path to being playoff-type teams. But things have worsened a little bit. The outlook has worsened over the last couple of weeks. Vikings have lost 2 out of 3. They're now 5-3. Seattle's lost 2 in a row. 2 tough road losses, and the Seahawks now sit at 4-4. And despite all the positivity surrounding this Seahawks team early in the year, it's tough not to look at them right now at 4-4 and say, are they the same team they were last year and the year before? I mean, has Seattle improved? Is this team any different? When you broke down the Seahawks team last year, you'd say, a good, tough team with a good defense and a power running game really struggles to throw the ball. That's their weakness. Their weakness is passing the ball, and they're so bad at passing the ball. Not bad at it. You don't want to use that word. Pedestrian, I guess, because it's not like the Seahawks have a dysfunctional passing game. They just are conservative. I mean, they're a run-first team. They don't pass for a whole lot of yards, is my point. So their offense doesn't score a whole lot of points, doesn't gain a whole lot of yards. Tough to win in the NFL when you don't score a whole lot of points. Now, you can win, especially if you have a great defense like the Seattle Seahawks do. You can win about half your games. Just like the Seahawks over the last couple of years, they've been about a 500-type team. And again, here they sit at 4-4. And I mentioned you look at them last year and you'd say, well, their weakness is in the passing game. And even though they have a new quarterback this year, Russell Wilson, and Wilson has been impressive for a rookie, I'm sorry. Stats tell the story, 31st in the league in passing yards. If it weren't for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Seattle would have the worst passing offense in the NFL, 30th in the league in total yards. So, hey, you break down the Seahawks this year, just like last year, just like the year before. Really good defense. They can really run the ball, struggle passing the ball. Not a team that's going to score a whole lot of points because of that. However, another characteristic that you have to take into consideration when you talk about the Seahawks team is how good they are at home. They are among the best home teams in the NFL. They've yet to lose at home this season. This is going to be very tough for Minnesota to come into Seattle and get a win here. We mentioned Seattle installed as a 5-point favorite in this game on BETDAQ. And when I first looked at this game, this felt like too many points to me because, as I just said, Seattle doesn't score a whole lot. The Vikings have a tough defense themselves. The Vikings can run the ball. I mean, these two teams are sort of similar stylistically. And so 5 points, that just, in a game like this, felt like a lot of points, but I've changed my mind already in this game a couple of times this week. Now I'm starting to think, just envisioning the Seahawks at home, losing a couple of tough games in a row. I mean, they're going to be really motivated. They really need the game. It's a tough spot for Minnesota. It's going to be really tough for them to go in there and get a win this week. 5 points still feels like a lot in this situation. Seattle money line might want to be a bet you want to consider. I kind of like the under in this game. I know 39.5 is a really low total. It's tough to make that bet under 39.5 and then watch the game because every single, it always feels like you're about to lose. Even things like turnovers and things of that nature, it stops one team from scoring, but it sets the other team up. So betting under 39.5 is tough, but I do think it's the right play in this situation. Both these teams, good defenses. Both these teams slightly limited on offense. And I think Minnesota is going to try to be especially conservative in this game. The Vikings, I think they're going to be very confident that they can handle the Seattle offense. So if they don't lose the game themselves, and that means if Christian Ponder does not turn the ball over. Christian Ponder started this season off through the first 4 games, I believe, with no turnovers. That was the main reason the Vikings were able to get off to such a good start to the season. But over the last few games, Christian Ponder has slipped. He's been turning it over a couple of times a game now. Cannot do that against this Seattle defense. I think Leslie Frazier, Minnesota's head coach, knows that. I think they're going to go in with a conservative game plan here, similar to what the Seattle Seahawks are going to do. So I do expect to see a low-scoring, competitive ball game. 5 feels like a lot. Like I said, I keep flip-flopping on the handicap side of this game. I do lean towards under 39.5, though. This should be a very competitive game and a huge game in the NFC.